We spent an entire year exploring. Traveling across the United States and researching the oldest trees in North America, because the US government is about to decide for us whether they stand or fall. It's no secret that we have a wealth of natural resources in the US. Other countries tote their artifacts, like Britain's crown jewels. We talk about our Purple Mountain majesties, the grace shed here from sea to shining sea. This year, the US Forest Service is asking us what to do with our mature and old-growth forests. And the decision we make together will be so final that we won't get the chance to change it once it's made. These trees stand in nearly every state in the Union, so we spoke to people across the country to learn about these forests, hear their unique stories, and gain perspective on one of the most impactful questions of our time. What should we do with our oldest trees? The difference between forested land and clear-cut land is so stark. There's one right there. Beautiful trees, and then just a sharp end to the trees in a massive patch. We're here in Leadmine at the local church because they've organized a community meeting to talk to us about all of the thoughts that they have surrounding the way that the forest here is being managed. This is the first time that they've been able to talk about this as a community with an outside entity that's willing to listen. So let's head on in.
I'm Ella.
Ella, nice to meet you. And Alex.
Pleased to meet you.
Hi, this is Michael.
After locals wrote to the Forest Service asking them to visit their home, the Forest Service hosted one meeting in a town 14 miles away that most elderly citizens couldn't get to because they'd have to drive back at night. When we visited last year, the Forest Service had never come to meet in Leadmine, since a district ranger and temporary forest supervisor visited together once. Otherwise, the Forest Service has required all of Leadmine's communications to go through the internet, but many people don't have or want computers, let alone reliable internet access, and cell service in town is hard to come by. So maintaining that requirement functionally silences the locals.
Part of the allure to this lovely area is
The remoteness.
the remoteness. Why do we want to have the government come in and say, well, this is the only way we're going to communicate with you? We like where we live.
The Upper Cheat River Project is another Forest Service project that the Forest Service is trying to do what they think is best, but it's a project like the Hogback Project that wrapped up a few years ago that's clear-cutting trees, and that's just not something people here believe is really the best way to take care of the forest.
One of the reasons that I oppose the Upper Cheat River Project is due to the high amount of clear cuts that have been proposed. This one, R45 right here, sits right along a tributary of the Cheat River called Horseshoe Run. You can see it's sitting on the side of a slope right there, and if they clear cut that off, the worry is there'll be a lot of sedimentation and flooding right down in this little valley right here.
They do say that's a concern, the cumulative effect of all the spots. They don't want to cut too much. But with all the private cuts added into what they want to cut, it is too much.
When the Forest Service proposes a timber sale, it often plans a number of cut blocks over a wide area, and sections of public national forest land can sometimes intermix with sections of private land. In Leadmine, private landowners that are mostly landowning companies sell their timber and clear-cut the land they own. Now, a huge amount of clear-cuts on private land surround and negatively impact the town. The situation impacts many American communities right now because less than 5% of commercial logging in the US happens on federal land. When planning the Upper Cheat River project in West Virginia, the Forest Service suggested there aren't many clear-cuts in the region surrounding Leadmine because they ignored clear-cuts outside national forest borders. Then they used that rationale to propose over 100 more large clear-cuts in the area, including the backslope of the town's main street, across the river from their church.
My house is on a hillside. It's very steep. You can't farm it, you can't raise critters on it. The value of my property is that it's a cabin, a home in the woods. But if you cut down the woods, I've lost my home value, the value of the property.
A lot of the Upper Cheat project is being cut via helicopter logging. It's just a testament to how steep these slopes are that they're cutting on, because they can't do it with conventional cutting techniques.
Most of the slopes are either steep or very steep, according to the Forest Service. The steep slopes are more than 40%. Very steep slopes are more than 50%. And this project is about 3,600 acres of cutting, and more than 3,500 of that is clear cuts. About 55% of that is proposed to be done by helicopter, and a little bit more than 60% is on steep or very steep slopes. So this project, because of the costs and the difficulty in the logging, is expected to lose about $1.4 million.
Companies that they contract to come in and do this helicopter logging aren't even from West Virginia, so you can't even back this project up by saying, yeah, well, at least it's providing jobs in the state. Nope, not even doing that.
The folks that have gotten together to interact with the Forest Service, they're very concerned about the clear cuts on the steep slopes, and that, to a large extent, is related to flooding that's been occurring in the community for many years.
The way this affects water is a huge issue on many different levels. You have a little bitty stream in between every one of these hills, and those streams are fed by little springs on the sides of each hill. The rainfall comes and there's no trees to hold it back, and you increase the flow in those streams, you get flood channels and they change course, and people lose land.
A lot of these people have spring boxes right at the bases of these cuts, and they propose to cut that hillside off, and these people are like, well, what the heck, that's gonna pollute my spring water that my family uses to drink. And all they can say is, we need the lumber. So
this is our water line, and our neighbors up there too. We're both on this. That's the only water that we have.
But you could totally see how water would run off this, like you said. I mean, like, can I even get up? I'm not a very heavy person. You touch it and it flies down. Like, I'm so sorry. I knew that I understood this, but until grabbing that stick,
Right.
I didn't realize how insanely easy it is to knock stuff down the hill.
You don't realize. It doesn't, the concept of it, just until you actually see it. So that water starts and you have all this silt, all the rocks coming down, all the extra wood that they'll leave behind, the junk stuff that they won't remove, all that's going to be coming down. It's going somewhere. It's going to be blocking streams, ditch lines. So, and then you're going to have some bad flooding. It's hard for people around here. And that's what we tried to tell the government too.
My daughter-in-law was trying to get to work, and so she went up Lead Mine Run to try to go that way, and the creek had come over the road and just washed the pavement completely out. And then she went down the road to try to go the other way, and the creek was there again over the road completely. She couldn't get through. Sometimes the road remains unpassable until State Road can get down there and fix it. This is a low-income area, and this is a young couple just trying to get started and make it, working minimum wage jobs, and you miss one day of work a month and you're not able to pay your bills then. You know, it's a big deal.
You can see the creek back there, and Paula was saying that the water from the creek during the initial clear cutting that happened in this region would flood so high and so greatly that it would come over this entire field and stretch all the way to that tree out there by the cows. Massive flood.
there's a lot of people that live in trailers and stuff, and if it gets bad enough, your actual house could just wash away.
When I first heard about it, when John first stopped by, it was just like your whole world gets crushed, because I see this area every day. And then you start imagining, well, that whole hillside from down here up to my house is going to be gone. It's just going to be dirt. So that was my problem with the Forest Service. They have their slogan out that says we are stewards and we take care of our forests, but that's not being a steward of the forest.
We are seeing what happens after you clear cut an area. Every single other branch is a thorn bush. I couldn't even imagine deer making their way through this. Wildlife are always going to take the path of least resistance. They're not going to choose this versus the nice mature forest that's right next to us that has a open understory. Super thick, a lot of trees coming up at the same time, and then follow me over here into an actual mature stand of forest. Spaced out nicely, plenty of room for wildlife and other things to walk through. Healthy ecosystem. And then right next to it, where they did a clear cut, absolutely thick, covered with growth in the worst way possible. Something I heard at one of the Forest Service meetings was, even though we're clear cutting, we're leaving all the stumps in the ground, so that's still gonna hold all the soil in place. Really? Doesn't look like the dead tree right there is doing a great job of that. What we're pushing for is leaving old growth be and then allowing a lot of that mature forest, which is like in between the early successional forest and the old growth. We're pushing to allow that mature forest age class to become old growth again. You can't have more old growth if you don't let the trees grow for a long enough time to become that large. There's so many benefits to having old growth, and that's a lot of what the eastern forest used to be. They followed like one of the logging trucks that pulled out, and yeah, it was right into the charcoal plant. Like, that's my thing. If you're gonna cut this guy down, at least use him for something good.
I'd like the Forest Service just to stop, take a moment, instead of rushing headlong, just to cut everything and leave generations to come without the joy that I feel every time I look out my window. That remains to be seen, though, and what will happen. I hear so many of my neighbors, oh, you can't beat the government, why are you even bothering? I can understand how they feel, because I feel that way too. But try to explain to somebody that your heart's here. I mean, to the point that this is going to make me bawl if I keep talking about it. But it'll be sad.
My grandpa used to say that we didn't own the land, it owned us. All my animals have a song, a theme song.
Oh, nice.
Hers was, my name is Shani, I got a furry fanny, I'm walking in lead mine's happy land. Did you get that?
Oh, I got it.
When I moved back on the farm, I became disabled. I woke up paralyzed one morning, and the only prescription I was given was to walk, and I had to start a little bit at a time. Whoops, you caught me in my element.
Pretty good element.
I'd walk to the end of my driveway and back, and I went further and further each day. And as I started walking, I started talking to my grandpa and remembering my roots. And I would come home each day and write an essay about the spiritual messages and lessons that land taught me on my walk. And that is my book, a collection of those essays. If I think of the one place in my life that I can go and feel accepted and needed, it's sitting along the creek in that forest. When I finally made it to where I could walk up to this place, that was like celebration day.
She's talking about walking after waking up paralyzed and having to relearn how to walk, really. So the day that she was able to make it back to this spot was really special for her.
1,000 lessons from this one spot.
Yeah.
It's where I go to meet God. To me, that's where God lives.
It's their home. It's not trying to preserve some old trees because it's cool to go out and look at old trees. They want to take care of their home.
We were a poor Appalachian family, and on my dad's deathbed, he apologized for all these things, not being able to take us on big vacations. We said, this is what we loved. What are you talking about? This is what we loved, was coming here. And here I am now, living in it and enjoying it every day.
What is this? This is the log sheet for everyone that comes up and visits the tree. The log book, John.
We go this way. But real close to this, they're going to take all of it. They did. I always thought that the government, I was raised that they were to protect us, protect the people of the land, protect our land, these trees. My parents, my dad he's rolling over in his grave. You just can't believe that that's not their purpose anymore. I don't feel like they protect us anymore. Well, the U.S. Forest Service, they do many good things. Don't get us wrong here in our community. But this is one-of-a-kind forest and one-of-a-kind community that lives and depends on this forest. It affects the streams, the people, the high mountain, the low mountain. Reevaluate and listen to the people that live here and know it.
Can I give you a hug?
Inspired by our time with the warm-hearted people of Leadmine, we got ready to learn from locals in another region of the country, the Midwestern North Woods.
I'm Andy Olson, and I'm with Environmental Law and Policy Center, Senior Policy Advocate, working to protect mature and old-growth forests. And we are here in the Sunfish Timber Sale area, interior hardwood forest in the forest plan, Eagle River, Wisconsin. This particular stand that we're visiting this morning, I've been to several times before and always loved going through it. It's fantastic. People talk about addressing climate change by planting trees. Well, here's a young sapling. Now, the leaves are where all the action happens. The chlorophyll helps to capture the carbon out of the atmosphere and convert it into carbon sugars. But there's only less than 10 leaves here compared to a full-grown adult tree where there's thousands of leaves doing that job of capturing and storing the carbon. That's why our mature and old-growth trees are so important. And so we're hiking in right now to see the areas that are being prepared for logging. So we do see some very large trees. Some might even be old growth that they're taking. So here we have a staging area. This is a staging area setting the ground for more harvest of the forest. All these blue painted trees are going to be taken down. I was here 1 year ago, and this forest road was narrower, and this clearing was not here.
The Sunfish Stand was cut as part of the 4 Mile Project, which is cutting 12,000 acres of public land near Eagle River, Wisconsin. The Forest Service reports that 93% of the timber sold from Sunfish is intended to make pulp for paper products. They also report that National Forest visitors spend $10 billion annually in areas near national forests when recreating. So what does that use look like?
What's been your favorite part of the day?
Hiking.
We went out to Anvil Trail today,
which is a beautiful trail system. In a year that has more snow than this, it would be a lot of cross-country skiers and snowshoers out there.
Want to do one more big one?
No, I got it.
I like to play tag and I like to roll down hills.
How fun was that?
A billion!
It was just so beautiful to see my daughter grow up excited about the outdoors.
The forest should be healthy and the forest should be safe because there are a lot of endangered species in the world that I love.
They have so much more room to take up. They have so much more to imagine. They have so much more to discover. And yeah, it's magic. You know, when the kids say, look, 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 you're actually excited to see what they have to show you.
Sarah likes nature.
What do you like?
Ants. Because ants are nature. And nature's good for the earth. And if we cut down all nature, there would be no trees.
Yeah, and would that be good or would that be bad?
That would kind of be good, so when we run down the hill, we don't hit the trees.
Oh, you're right. It would make rolling down the hill easier. It would make rolling down the hill a lot easier.
We're just more present to each other. You're more present. That is the special thing about being outside together. Being among our living ancestors is a really powerful thing that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to experience. And taking more and more of them away is doing a disservice to humanity. The things that would be in our best interest as a business are for the outdoors to be wow-worthy and to be a landscape for connection.
Children tend to have decisions made for them because they look at the world differently. But after spending time together and seeing the clarity with which they interpret our actions, we often learn that that's why we ought to listen.
You know, my childhood, we did a lot of camping in a lot of woods, and it's so pleasant to be in these forests when they're healthy and growing and not slashed to bits. You know, it can fill anybody with wonder, including kids especially. So now, I mean, imagine now a kid coming out and looking at this. Oh, stumps, slash, that's great. Yeah, that's what could have been. Okay, I've got to get a before and after on this one.
Wow, this area is really open.
It was not like this before.
All these trees were up last time. Yeah.
It was a beautiful forest. It's sad, man. It's so much lost potential. Mm-hmm. So you notice here, we've got all this standing water, and the reason for that is because the machinery has compacted the ground. So will they return this back to how it was? We'll see. Follow-up is a big question. So it's going to take the forest a while to recover. And at this point, 4 Mile is becoming more of a symbol, I think, for what's wrong with the Forest Service.
What do you see wrong about this?
They're cutting a lot of mature and old-growth trees that are so important for habitat, biodiversity, and really important for climate. Each year that the tree grows, it adds another one of these rings. And so when you look at the center, you can see when it was but a wee sapling, and then as time goes on, there's one ring per year. And that's how we can count how old the trees are.
And how old is mature growth?
Mature is generally around 80 years old. The definition for old growth for the eastern region of the U.S. is greater than 19 or 23 inches. Some of these would qualify by that. So some are just future old growths, mature. Well, they were. There's been different types of forestation that we've looked at. There's afforestation, which is to plant new forest. And there's reforestation, which is where a forest is gone and then it's restored. And now we've got a new forestation. It's called proforestation, protecting mature and old-growth trees. And the basic philosophy is to let trees grow. All this came out of thin air by the miracle of photosynthesis.
Yeah, dude. I'm from Colorado. I can't not climb just the side.
Forest Service doesn't even know how much carbon they're taking off of the land. They don't know how much carbon sequestration capacity they're removing with these trees. They haven't bothered to really consider the consequences of their actions.
I don't think the level of destruction really hit me until looking out and seeing all of these trees missing from the landscape. The emotional impact is really heavy, and it's super, super obvious from up here. I mean, it just goes on in every direction.
This particular stand has been was really motivating, and it's not so much anymore. But it's just such rewarding work to know that you're making a difference, and there's so much work that needs to be done. There's so much opportunity for people to get involved and be part of making a difference, changing things. We are really in a great moment. We got some great policy movement that is really kind of surprising. I think a lot of us didn't expect it would happen this quickly. We need to make sure that the policies are strong, that they've got teeth, that they don't have loopholes. We're not against all logging, but when logging happens, we think it needs to be done right. The Menominee tribe here in Wisconsin is a world leader in truly sustainable forestry. You can see Menominee County, if you go on Google Earth, you can see it standing out in Wisconsin because it's so green and verdant and the borders of the county are so well defined.
This is how all of north central Wisconsin looked early 1800s. It's still here for us. It's just how we have always done it. It's just a perpetual management of our forest. That was the vision of our past leaders, and it remains in our plans today, so we're just kind of doing our part.
The Menominee tribe combines ancestral knowledge with modern technology to manage over 230,000 acres of tribal land. Their style leads to healthy forests with some of the highest quality timber on Earth, and the man behind the management is Ron Waka.
We grew up out here. There wasn't much to do when I was growing up, but there was always this. There was always fishing, there was always hunting, there was gathering. I mean, you're just always out here doing something. There's a connection to the resource. There's no evidence of any past logging in here. This is an area that would fall into no management.
How old are these trees?
They're probably between 150 and 200.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
What we'll show you from here forward will be areas that are managed, and you'll see the difference in the growth of the trees, the spacing of the trees, the regeneration, and different ages as we move through the day.
There are a couple types of old growth, and we have old growth. We have two types, managed and unmanaged. That's not always the best approach, is to just be hands-off. But mowing everything down isn't always the right call. And single tree selection isn't always the right call. Make an informed decision. We take the approach of management.
This is select thinned. Last time was probably 15, 18 years ago. It kind of appears to have the look of not ever being managed, but we have been in here before. Brought you in here just to take a look at some more of the diversity that we have, the hardwood, the hemlock.
You have to consider the diversity of everything, and so many different cover types, so many different treatments, so many different rotations, yeah. It's a giant puzzle. Maybe that's why I like my job.
We got to thin it because they're competing heavily with each other. We got to pick out, all things being equal, pick out the trees that we feel are going to be the crop trees in the future of the stand, and we'll give them more room to grow, prune them up. This particular stand is white pine management. It's a success in the fact that we were able to regenerate the stand. We got a high stocking level. We were able to use natural seed.
So there was no replanting whatsoever. This is all just...
all natural.
What does success look like to you?
Longevity, and I'm not afraid to make decisions I know today that will affect the future generation. Kind of like when you leave it nicer than you found before. That's what I want to do. I want to leave behind a forest that's nicer and honestly maybe even easier for them to take care of.
We'll keep walking up a little bit more.
This is crazy. How old do you think this one is?
That was like identified it as 150 years old, probably 30 years ago.
Wow.
We left it, yeah. It's like a tree per acre throughout the whole cut that are just gonna stay on site. It doesn't have to be lumber to have value. You know, there's other valuable things ecologically it's doing. That's the balance.
People have this idea of us, I swear it's either one end of the extreme or the other, where it's like, all that they're doing is cutting down trees in the forest. Like some people think that. And then other people are like, it's old growth, untouched, virgin wilderness. Like, no, we're right in the middle.
There's something helpful to keep in mind before going into this section. This is an example of how logging could be done in our country in a more sustainable way. It's not how logging was done across our country or how much of it happens now. The Menominee let trees live longer before cutting them and are more selective with their cuts. This encourages more mature trees to age into old growth, so while they do cut some old growth trees, they also have a larger percentage of old growth standing. Wow.
He put that exactly where he wanted it. That was really impressive.
Everybody thinks, oh, loggers, they just sit around and bullshit. That's not the case. We come to work, we work, we eat our lunch together, and then we go back to work, and we go home.
You cut that one down over here somewhere? All right.
I remember when I was real young, my father logged with horses. I went from horses to cable skidders. Now we're up to this mechanized, and these machines here.
Within our forest, we use a variety of equipment. We have a skidder, so that's the machine that's gonna pick up the logs. And then we also have machinery out there called processors. That's kind of modern, but we have such big timber, you're gonna see guys out there hand sawing with a chainsaw because these machines just simply can't grab the diameter of trees we grow.
You need to be careful on what equipment you're using, how heavy you're impacting the ground, how many times you're running in one trail. Taking care of the forest floor is one of the biggest things. This is basically therapy for me. 3 tours in Iraq. When I come home, I went to the VA and they told me, well, you gotta take this pill, and this pill. I said, the hell with that. I said, I'm just gonna stay in the woods. What keeps me sane right here is this woods. This is where I'm at, this is my home. I mean, this is all we have left. We went from so many acres to this. It was taken from us, basically. And it ain't gonna be here if we don't manage it.
When the logs come out of the forest, they'll get unloaded off the truck, and then we'll apply a barcode to them. And then as we consume our logs in the mill, we'll scan each barcode as it comes in, and then we'll get a scanned volume in, and we'll do a volume of lumber out.
Here, and this tag is correlational to the tags on the log.
And then when we make that log into boards, we are able to take that lumber and tie it back to the spot that tree came from.
Every day there's something purposeful to do, improving our processes and making things better and more efficient. But then you also have the connection. You know, my dad worked here for 52 years.
You see intergenerational workers, that kind of cascading family commitment to who and what we are and the jobs that we do. We've been in this place for 10,000 years. We've watched our land holdings go from over 9 million acres down to 236,000. We want very, very much to be an active participant with the land.
Oh my gosh. It does blow my mind how massive, this is like the size of my torso. And I find it hard to believe that it's fine. Like, how old is this tree? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. I mean, here, we're at 100. So this is a near 200-year-old tree. It's weird for me to see like a 200-year-old cut tree and call it sustainable. It's hard, right? Because like, I know they're doing it correctly here and on their land because they've been doing it for 200 years. The Menominee leave these trees here and pick the ones that they want to keep for so long that they have this crazy crop of 150, 200-year-old trees. We in the US, we've never done that. Is that something that American lumber companies are ready for? I don't know. I hope so.
It's pretty amazing to have a model to at least be able to see that this is possible.
How does that make you feel as a Canadian? Do you think that if the US started moving toward a more sustainable model, Canada would be more inclined to follow suit?
Whenever there is a industry leader, there's opportunity for other industry participants to learn from them. I mean, it only makes sense too. They do have market advantages in creating better products. The challenge is truly that you have to have that long perspective, thinking generations ahead, their children's children, how to make sure that they're set up.
The Menominee approach to commercial logging contrasts with the plantation management style practiced across much of the US. Tree plantations are monocultures without biodiversity that lack many benefits mature and old-growth forests provide. When we cut mature and old-growth trees on our federal public lands, we lose their benefits with them because we have so few remaining. Unlike many US-based management styles, the Menominee prioritize keeping old trees on their land, and while they use many of the same terms heard in federal circles, their differences in practice are visually obvious. Since less than 5% of commercial logging in the US happens on federal land, this moment could be an opportunity to retire commercial logging of mature and old growth on public lands and encourage operations on private lands to improve their practices by learning from the Menominee tradition.
Indigenous knowledge systems have been devalued in the modern world. I would love to see a recognition of that collective knowledge of the traditional peoples wherever they are.
We're just doing what we've always done. We put the forest and the land ethic in front of all of our decisions. That's what drives us.
When you're looking at the deforestation issues that much of the world is facing, listen to the people who have been there.
A month and a half after spending time with the caring people of the Menominee Nation, we traveled west to the North American temperate rainforest. It stretches along the Pacific Ocean from Northern California up to Alaska and boasts the world's largest and most carbon-dense trees. It's so cool to be back in these forests. We're going to see a couple different kinds of forests, and so I'm curious to see how each different forest reacted to fire and how they look like now that they've been burned. Tribes used fire to steward the land before European settlers carried out a genocide against them and prevented indigenous cultural burning. Now, over a century with very little fire alongside rising global temperatures means wildfires are stronger than ever before.
Hottest months of summer still. Fires are moving faster than they have in the
There
past.
are mandatory evacuations for several areas.
To 60,000 acres.
But what if we don't have to be afraid? What if we handed reins to more experienced traditions and cooperated to bring back time-tested ways to thrive with fire?
There is good fire and there is bad fire. It's not inherently a negative thing. As you can see here, the forest was not destroyed by fire. I think that this site in particular is really good evidence of what smaller fires can do.
That big old tree right there, you see the char that goes up to one side, is evidence of an ancient fire. Most of all the other trees we see grew after that fire. It's really hard. When I walk through this verdant, green, dripping wet forest, I just see fires, ancient, and future. It's an affliction.
Timothy, Olivia, and Helena are experienced in caring for people by being stewards of the land. They've devoted themselves to helping communities of all sizes familiarize with fire and regularly bring people on hikes to learn the ways that fire can coexist with people in a landscape when it has specific elements.
This tree is a great example. It's so big, the limbs are so high, the bark is so thick, it survives, it endures fires.
Even higher up, you can really see the char.
Probably was a fairly hot fire, took out all the other trees, but this giant, probably this is the grandma tree that has seeded a lot of the other Doug firs.
There's also no ladder fuel on this tree. Ladder fuel is a ladder that fire can jump up on the branches. And so if you have a low intensity fire down here, it's not going to get up there unless the trees are overcrowded. If there was to be a prescribed fire here, you're not going to crowd out the trees that are pre-existing. Whereas if you let them all grow, it becomes a tinderbox.
Bringing in fire, a low intensity fire, is to help speed up this recycling of down, woody debris. It's time that we return it where it always was and always belongs. And I look a lot toward elevating indigenous fire practitioners.
The last 3 generations in Oregon, people have not been able to care for their ancestral forests the way that they were supposed to. Removing barriers is one of the most crucial parts of getting fire back on the landscape and also just getting our forests under control. Tribes and the Forest Service working in conjunction with each other is going to be how we actually actively protect what we have.
The ideology is fires destroy forests. Even if the fire had killed this tree, as a dead tree, or what loggers call snags, it's abundant with all kinds of wildlife. Sometimes more wildlife inhabits a dead tree than a live tree. A fire-killed dead tree is still habitat. So snags are habitat, stumps are not. The Forest Service, its origins, it was fighting fires in order to do logging, save the trees for the sawmills. Now we've come full circle. They're logging trees in order to keep firefighting and claiming that this is going to prevent catastrophic wildfires and all that. And all they've done by the logging of the biggest, oldest, most fire-resilient trees and then replanting the most flammable trees in the most dense stock patterns, they're just making the forest more flammable to very high intensity fire.
If you wanted to take firewood with you, we've got extra.
Oh, thank you.
It was a joke, Alex. Do you see all the firewood we have?
Yeah, wait a second.
Look at this. How big this is.
This.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that one.
They estimated, I think, this one to be
160 years
this
old.
This was about, I think, it's almost 200. That was about 100. We took the keys for this place, felt like, oh my gosh, pinch me. I've always wanted to be on the river, in the forest, and came home and the valley was filling with smoke, and we thought, oh, these are from the California fires. And within a few hours, we were informed that the fire had broken out and traveled 20 miles in 7-8 hours.
Tish and Eric's house burned down as part of the 173,000 acres burned by the Holiday Farm wildfire of 2020.
Everything here was burned through the fire, so
it's so hot that everything just exploded.
It was like 1,700 degrees, wasn't it?
Crazy hot.
It was such an intense fire. These trees have been here, a lot of them since the 1860 fire. We cut down trees that were 160 to 220 years old, which was heartbreaking to us, but they died. And so these trees are the ones that remained. I find it upsetting, distressing, and scary that fire is being used as a fear tactic to clear-cut forests. Old-growth forests are more resilient than plantation forests.
She's a forest gal. I'm a river guy, and the river here is unbelievable. I fly fish, and we both hike, and we love camping in this area, and we walk through there, flat country, and it's just impressive. that would be threatened.
That there would even be conversation about cutting that after the fires, after all that this area has been through, that they would still go ahead with that. That was crazy to us.
With clear cutting, you've got the fisheries in danger because downstream is always going to be an issue. And again, with the flat country, the whole idea that they'd even consider cutting old growth forests at the headwaters of this incredible river is just mind-boggling.
One of the reasons we work to protect those forests is because we know about all the people downstream who rely on this river water, right? It's not just all fun and fishing, it's also life. We are so lucky here in the Eugene area to draw our water from this river, the Mackenzie. It's sourced from glacial melt, snow melt, rainwater that filters through the Willamette National Forest. So it's public lands, and some is mature and old growth forests that still have threats. Olali Creek is a spring-fed creek that just gushes out of the ground in this beautiful forest right in the middle of the Flat Country Timber Sale Project. It flows downstream into the Mackenzie River, providing drinking water and clean, cold source water for fish. And it would definitely be harmed by removing trees around these beautiful source springs. Trees are actually capturing the fog and turning it into droplets that then enter the waterway. If those trees weren't there, it'd just blow right over like a cloud. You can look up into the canopy and watch the rain being captured slowly and filtered down into the river and the watershed. It's a really beautiful way of envisioning our connection to the forest, even when we're, in town turning on our tap.
I was part of the organizing effort to stop the Flat Country timber sale for the last year or so of that fight. It's one thing to want to protect a forest that you've never been in, but once you actually get to go out there with friends, you create these lasting memories, and it really changes your perspective and shows you the urgency behind protecting that space. It just makes it much more personal.
This is the edge of Unit 1300 in the Flat Country Timber Project that's been canceled now, but would have logged about 2,000 acres. It's a beautiful mature forest, Douglas fir and western hemlock and red cedar.
You're like at the end of a pirate ship. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The mast.
You could also walk the plank if you wanted. This is like, as a kid, you'd come here and that's what you would do. You'd play.
My favorite part about being here and seeing all this is that every single state has its version of this, and being able to just be here and be a kid and human and listen to the clean water running and just hang out with everybody else here makes me excited for how many other people can have these experiences. Because I think before this project, I didn't even realize how many places there are like this still left around the country. We always talk about how few there are remaining, and there certainly are, like relative to how many there were, a lot less. But there's still a lot left.
Only about 5% of the lumber that we get from the United States actually comes from federal forests. The mature and old growth portions of that, it's even less. And so when we're talking about our public lands, the ones that are set aside for us to enjoy, it really seems like a no-brainer to just leave those alone, because it should not have a huge impact on our supply of lumber. Flat Country was just a sign that activism does matter, weighing in does matter, and being a part of this process does mean something.
Yeah, like this is pretty awesome. One of the things I'm really happy about this particular timber sale project is that it didn't get so far along that there's paint on the trees. The paint on the trees would be a reminder that it was imminent, that like chainsaws were coming. And I don't know, I feel like the forest has escaped that mark of man at this time anyway. So we're here in the Willamette National Forest. We're not far from the edge of the Mount Washington Wilderness. And in fact, this flat country timber sale encompasses this whole area, even going right up to the edge of the wilderness area. All of these were units in the flat country timber sale project, 1340, 1330, and 1320, and 1300, that are all like in the sort of spring-fed system of Olalla Creek.
So now these are all off the block.
Yep, the Forest Service withdrew the decision. So it doesn't.
All the purple is no longer threatened.
And unless they decide to reissue the decision or change the analysis and put it back out. They could.
Because they haven't made the amendment.
Yeah.
The Forest Service unusually withdrew the flat country timber sale after years of public pushback, but it's still not protected. Without permanent protection, flat country's future remains uncertain, along with nearly every mature and old-growth forest like it across the country on federal public land. There are over 30 cuts proposed in mature and old-growth forests as we publish this video. Even the Tongass, one of the world's largest rainforests, could lose mature and old-growth trees without a stronger amendment in place. That's why us sending in public comments is so important. If enough of us write in to get this amendment written well, we could save millions of acres of our most helpful forests from being lost all at once.
Looks like I only have a few more feet to go. Climbing on these branches is so fun. How's this sit spot?
So good, dude. It's like amazing.
I might cry. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think that we're 200 some feet up.
I want to take like a lawmaker up here.
What were you saying?
I was saying I wish I could take like a lawmaker or a legislator up here to see all this. Because you can't help but be struck by just awe and amazement. Looking out over all these trees. Man, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I had one of these moments kind of on the hike up here where it just kind of hit you like, holy shit, this is my life. How did it get so cool?
It's crazy, right? It took us like 45 minutes to climb up this tree, and to think of all that velocity at the very top of this gigantic crown jewel and flying into the ground, having that be the end of the story for this tree and so many others that are doing so much good for us, it'd be a real shame. But that hasn't happened yet, and we have the chance to keep it from happening.
To have a rule that would protect mature and old growth trees here in Oregon and across the whole country would be absolutely life-changing. And we'll see it soon. We'll see it soon.
And it's so easy. You just gotta say yeah and then don't do anything.
It is complicated, but I think that it's worth it to dive into that complication because we deserve it. The decision makers themselves deserve it.
And we want it.
And we want it.
We're here telling you, all of us, that we really, really want it.
These forests are connected to all of us. Even if you never visit them, they're here, they're working for you, you're connected to them.
There are ways that you can help, even if you're in the middle of Los Angeles right now without a forest right in your backyard. Your voice still matters because you're a U.S. citizen, and what we're talking about are our federal public lands.
It will always call you home. This land will always call you home.
I first got involved in activism in 1978. The biggest change between then and now is the internet and the tools and the power that puts in the hands of normal people.
This thing is like the best microphone that anyone has right now, or anyone has ever had in history.
There have been voices that have been historically left out of the conversation, but just like old growth forests need the mycelial networks, need the mushroom, need the flora and the fauna, we too need diverse ecosystems in these policy-making spheres.
What we do and how we go about it is important.
They've never done anything like this before, to change every single national forest plan in the United States all at once. A wide sweeping change that actually helps us get the forests the protections that they really deserve and what we really need.
If you made it this far in the video, I just want to say thanks for coming along on this journey and being part of what for me has been the most eye-opening and meaningful project I've ever been a part of. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. Thank you for being here, seriously.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah.
Over the 11 months spent making this film for you, we all lived through moments of joy and moments of pain within our personal lives. No matter what was going on, spending time with others among these silent giants lifted our spirits and reminded us that mature and old-growth forests care for us every day, even when we can't see them. We know now that the choice to safeguard these places isn't just about protecting trees. It's about protecting us. It's like John said in West Virginia. It's our home. This is about taking care of our home. Now our fate is in your hands. As it's written, the amendment the Forest Service proposes to enact does not grant durable protections for mature trees, but we can get them added to the amendment if enough of us write in. Whichever way you'd like this to go, you can write in here. We made a little site to make things easier, and you can send the pre-written note as is or edit it to add a personal touch and make it even stronger. We've made some footage from the film available for anyone to use for free, so you can advocate online in your own voice, and a toolkit with research to help you host your own screening for your friends, family, or community to spark conversations around building our future together. The footage and toolkit are available at the link on screen and in the description, and you can subscribe for outtakes from the film that we'll share so you can learn more about these incredible people and places through YouTube Shorts. The comment period closes on September 20th, 2024. From there, the Forest Service has to take your comments into account and make a choice. They've stated an estimated decision date of January 1st, 2025. So as you write your letter, enjoy writing history. We'll see you again soon.